Sure. Well, thank you for having me here today. I really appreciate addressing this wonderful esteemed panel and others. Um, I'm going to start answering the last question you asked because I think it's a more critical question. And because a lot of people will ask, what can employers do? You know, and I think the more important question is, why should employers do it? And I'm going to segment businesses in two buckets. You have the small business organizations. These are the employers that have less than 5 or 10 or 15 employees. And then you have major corporations like myself. So I have 40,000 employees. We're $10 billion. So when you look at large corporations, why should they do this? You got to remember that the average tenure for a CEO for the Fortune 500 is 4 years. So if you had the Fortune 500 CEOs sitting up here and you were trying to convince them to do this, they're thinking, I got 4 years in this job. So you got to convince them that this has to take a priority, okay? For the small business, they don't have the means to do this, so they count on the infrastructure in the community they live in to hopefully fix this. So why did we get involved in this? I saw a transformation for myself over the 30 years I've been doing HR. I was actually watching a congressional hearing of the Chief Naval Operating Officer Greener. And I can't remember the senator, I think it was Senator McCain, asked the Admiral, what is the most pressing threat to the Navy? And I was surprised on that. He said workforce development. He said he can only take 1 out of every 4 kids coming out of high school to be into the Navy. 1 out of 4. And he was basically saying, you know, the one he will be able to attract, one will probably have a criminal background that he won't be able to employ, one may have a disability, and one won't be able to physically be in the military. And I'm listening to that, and I said, oh my God, that's me. That's me as an employer. So the workforce, I started to look at early ed as from a workforce development standpoint. And as an engineering kind of company, we went all the way back to the design. If I'm not getting the college kids ready or the volume that I need, then maybe it's because of the high schools, then we have to work on the high schools, middle schools, and all the way down to pre-K. So the key, I think, for business leaders is you got to ask them and you got to convince them why should they even be involved before you actually get into the solutions. Now, some of us, Tom is here and others around the country have come to that conclusion that this is what we're going to get involved in because you got to really think of the long game. We call it the long game, the institution, about how I'm going to hire employees. So there's a lot of things that we do. You're right. There are a lot of policies and programs as an employer as I do. I'll be honest with you, as an employer, I do not offer them to attract talent. I don't. I mean, think about it, when you were 18 or 21 out of college, when you were looking for a job, the first question on your mind was not, do you offer an early childhood education program? It was not on your mind. It was salary, it was how much time you were going to get off. So employers create these policies not to attract talent. And they don't even create it to pretty much retain talent. You know, they're going to do it because there's that business imperative. It's the workforce development. And that's how HI got engaged into it.